Welcome to our channel. Today we draw inspiration from the wisdom of the East to unlock the power of Wu Wei, effortless living. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more insights from ancient philosophies and modern life. Imagine a river flowing down a mountain. It moves effortlessly, gracefully around rocks and bends. It doesn't fight the current or try to force its way. It simply flows, finding the path of least resistance. This, my friends, is a beautiful example of Wu Wei. Wu Wei is a Chinese term that roughly translates to effortless action or non-doing. But don't let the name fool you. It's not about being lazy or doing nothing at all. It's a way of moving through life with a sense of ease and harmony, just like that river. In a world that often prizes busyness and constant striving, Wu Wei offers a refreshing alternative. It's about trusting the natural order of things and finding a gentler, more fulfilling way to live. Wu Wei is a core concept in Taoism, an ancient Chinese philosophy that has shaped the spiritual and cultural landscape of China for thousands of years. The phrase Wu Wei is often translated as non-action, but this can be misleading. It doesn't mean doing nothing or being passive. Instead, Wu Wei is about taking action in a way that is so perfectly in tune with the natural world that it appears effortless. It is the art of knowing when to act and when to step back, of moving in harmony with the rhythms of life rather than forcing our will upon them. Taoism emphasizes living in harmony with the Tao, the natural order of the universe. The Tao is the underlying principle that connects all things, the flow that guides the seasons, the growth of plants, and the movement of the stars. When we align ourselves with this flow, we find a sense of peace and clarity. Life becomes less about struggle and more about moving gracefully through whatever comes our way. The Tao Te Ching, a fundamental text of Taoism, describes Wu Wei as the highest form of virtue, achieved by aligning oneself with the flow of life. The sage, according to the Tao Te Ching, acts without striving, speaks without effort, and accomplishes great things by allowing events to unfold naturally. This doesn't mean the sage is inactive. Rather, their actions are so well-timed and appropriate that they seem to happen without force or struggle. It's about understanding that there's a natural rhythm and flow to the universe, and when we resist this flow, we create unnecessary struggle and suffering. Just as a river flows around obstacles rather than crashing through them, Wu Wei teaches us to adapt and respond to life's challenges with flexibility and grace. When we let go of rigid expectations and allow ourselves to be guided by the present moment, we discover a new kind of strength, one that comes from yielding rather than resisting. Think of a sailboat trying to sail directly into a strong wind. No matter how hard the sailor tries, fighting against the wind only leads to frustration and wasted energy. The boat struggles, the sails flap, and progress is slow and exhausting. This is what happens when we try to force our way through life, ignoring the natural currents and rhythms that surround us. It would be much wiser, wouldn't it, to adjust the sails and work with the wind's power. By shifting our approach, we can harness the energy around us and move forward with far less effort. The skilled sailor doesn't fight the wind. They read its direction, adjust their course, and let the wind carry them. In the same way, Wu Wei invites us to observe the circumstances of our lives, adapt to them, and act in ways that are both effective and harmonious. Wu Wei teaches us to let go of our need to control everything and instead, to move with the current of life, adapting to whatever challenges and opportunities come our way. When we practice Wu Wei, we become more attuned to the world around us and to our own inner wisdom. We learn to trust the process, to act when the time is right, and to rest when it is needed. In this way, life becomes a dance rather than a battle, a journey of effortless action, guided by the gentle wisdom of the Tao. Wu Wei might seem like a lofty philosophical concept, something reserved for ancient sages or spiritual masters meditating on mountaintops. But the truth is, Wu Wei is not just an abstract idea or a distant ideal. It's a principle that can be woven into the very fabric of our daily lives, no matter who we are or what we do. In fact, you might be surprised to discover just how practical and down-to-earth this ancient wisdom can be. Wu Wei is about finding a natural, unforced way of being. And it's surprisingly relevant to our everyday routines. It's not about doing nothing, but rather about doing things in a way that feels natural, harmonious, and free from unnecessary struggle. Think about the last time you felt truly at ease, when your actions seemed to flow effortlessly. almost as if you were being carried along by a gentle current. Have you ever tried to bake a cake in a rush, forcing the ingredients together and anxiously watching the clock? Maybe you were worried about getting everything perfect, or you felt pressure to finish quickly. The more you tried to control every detail, the more chaotic things seemed to become. The batter might have clumped, the kitchen got messy, and the whole experience felt stressful rather than enjoyable. Now, contrast that with the times you've baked with patience and a sense of calm focus. You measured the ingredients mindfully, stirred the batter with care, and allowed yourself to enjoy the process. There was no rush, no anxiety, just a gentle attention to what you were doing. The result? The cake often turns out better, and the experience itself is far more satisfying. The ingredients seem to blend more harmoniously, and the cake, well, it just seems happier. It's as if your relaxed state of mind infuses the food with a special quality. This is Wu Wei in action, allowing things to unfold naturally, without forcing or resisting, and discovering that the outcome is often better than if you had tried to control every step. Remember learning to ride a bicycle? It's a perfect example of how Wu Wei can show up in our lives, even in childhood. At first, the idea of balancing on two wheels can seem daunting, almost impossible. At first you might have tensed up, gripped the handlebars tightly and focused so hard on not falling that you could barely move. Every wobble felt like a crisis, and the more you tried to control the bike, the harder it was to find your balance. Fear and tension made the process exhausting and frustrating. But as you relaxed, trusted the bike, and allowed yourself to find your natural balance, something shifted. Suddenly, riding became effortless, even joyful. You stopped overthinking every movement and started to flow with the rhythm of the ride. The fear faded, replaced by a sense of freedom and delight. This is the essence of Wu Wei, letting go of unnecessary effort and allowing your actions to become smooth and spontaneous. These are just a few examples of how Wu Wei can manifest in our daily routines. It's not limited to baking or bike riding. It can be found in countless moments throughout our day. Whether you're making breakfast, getting ready for work, or simply taking a walk, there are opportunities to practice this gentle, effortless approach. Whether it's gardening, writing, or simply having a conversation, Wu Wei invites us to be present and engaged, but without strain. When we garden, we can work with the rhythms of nature rather than against them. When we write, we can let the words flow instead of forcing them. Even in conversation, we can listen and respond naturally, without trying to control the outcome. When we approach these activities with a sense of relaxed awareness, we often find that things flow more smoothly and effortlessly. Life becomes less about struggle and more about harmony. Wu Wei isn't about giving up or being passive, it's about finding the sweet spot where action and ease come together, allowing us to move through life with grace, joy, and a sense of natural flow. In our fast-paced, achievement-oriented society, we're often conditioned to believe that we must always be striving, pushing, and forcing our way through life to get what we want. But this constant struggle can lead to stress, burnout, and a sense of dissatisfaction. Imagine trying to force a flower to bloom before its time. You might tug at its petals, give it extra sunlight, or water it excessively. But all your efforts will be in vain. The flower will only bloom when it's ready, when the conditions are just right. Similarly, when we try to force outcomes in our own lives, we often create more resistance and difficulty. We might miss out on unexpected opportunities or fail to appreciate the present moment because we're so fixated on a future goal. Quick icebreaker, what's one area of your life where you wish things felt more effortless? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's learn from each other. Stress, my friends, is a common ailment in our modern world. It's something that touches nearly everyone, regardless of age, background, or lifestyle. Whether you're a student juggling assignments, a parent managing a household, or a professional navigating the demands of your career, stress can creep in and take hold. It's almost as if it's woven into the very fabric of our daily lives. We're constantly bombarded with information, deadlines, and demands on our time and energy. The pace of life seems to accelerate with every passing year, and the pressure to keep up can feel overwhelming. Notifications ping on our phones, emails pile up, and the world rarely seems to slow down, even for a moment. It's no wonder so many of us feel stretched thin, anxious, and exhausted. But what if I told you that Wu Wei could be the antidote to this stress epidemic? Wu Wei, an ancient Taoist principle, invites us to embrace a different way of being. One that doesn't require us to fight against the current of life, but instead, to flow with it. Imagine a life where you don't have to force every outcome or control every detail, but can instead find peace in simply being present. When we practice Wu Wei, we learn to let go of our need to control everything, and instead, to surrender to the present moment. This doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means releasing the tension that comes from trying to micromanage every aspect of our lives. It's about trusting that things will unfold as they should, and that we can handle whatever comes our way with grace. We become more accepting of what is, rather than dwelling on what should be or could have been. This acceptance brings a profound sense of relief. Instead of replaying past mistakes or worrying about future outcomes, we anchor ourselves in the here and now. We start to notice the beauty in ordinary moments, a gentle breeze, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter, and realize that peace is available to us, right where we are. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent to life's challenges. On the contrary, Wu Wei encourages us to engage with life fully, but without the frantic energy of stress and resistance. We still set goals, make plans, and face obstacles, but we do so with a sense of inner calm and clarity. We act when action is needed, and rest when it's time to pause. It simply means we approach them with a sense of calm awareness, responding to situations as they arise, rather than reacting with stress and anxiety. We learn to pause, breathe, and choose our responses thoughtfully. This mindful approach not only reduces our stress but also improves our relationships, our decision-making, and our overall well-being. We learn to ride the waves of life rather than letting them crash over us. By practicing Wu Wei, we discover that true strength lies in our ability to adapt, to flow, and to trust the process. In this way, stress loses its grip, and we find ourselves living with greater ease, resilience, and joy. Happiness, it seems, is often elusive, something we chase but rarely seem to catch. Wu Wei offers a different perspective. It suggests that true happiness isn't found in achieving external goals or accumulating possessions, but in cultivating a sense of inner peace and contentment. When we practice Wu Wei, we learn to appreciate the simple things in life: a beautiful sunset, a good cup of tea, the sound of laughter. We become more present and mindful, savoring each moment rather than constantly rushing towards the next. This doesn't mean we abandon our goals or ambitions. It simply means we approach them with a sense of detachment, understanding that true happiness comes from within, not from external achievements. We find joy in the journey, not just the destination. Now you might be wondering, how do I actually practice this Wu Wei in my own life? Well, it's simpler than you might think. Here are a few tips to get you started. Start with awareness. Pay attention to areas in your life where you tend to force things or resist the natural flow. Embrace simplicity. Simplify your schedule, declutter your surroundings, and focus on what truly matters. Practice mindfulness. Engage fully in the present moment, whether you're washing dishes, walking in nature, or having a conversation. Remember, Wu Wei is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, experiment with different approaches, and trust that you'll find your own unique way to embrace effortless action in your life. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, Wu Wei offers a path to greater peace, happiness, and fulfillment. It's a reminder that sometimes the most effortless path is also the most rewarding. So my friends, I invite you to give Wu Wei a try. Embrace the art of effortless action and see how it can transform your life. You might be surprised at the grace, ease, and joy you discover along the way. Thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, share, and comment below. Your support helps us bring more wisdom from the East to your screen. See you in the next one.